Well, we were inspired to create this program in part because of the mission of the university, which is to create leaders in service with an international perspective. The specific inspiration came during my first trip to Uganda. I was actually there, and I was visiting with Brother Francis Blouin, for whom the program is named. And I was sitting in a car with one of the African brothers, and there was a story on the radio about famine in northern Uganda, and questions raised about whether or not that famine was a consequence of climate change. And all of a sudden it just hit me that there are these big global issues, and these issues have many different ways and many different perspectives to look at.
If you read, you have an intellectual knowledge. And then if you're traveling, you have an experiential knowledge. Think globally, act locally. You got to say, how can I help? And then you have to be realistic enough to say, the needs are so great that I can only do a very small part of it. But if I play my role, if I have my, and by the way, thank you for using my name. I certainly, I'm proud that they're using my name, but at the same time, I also hope that the students themselves, in about 50 years from now, they will say, well, we want a Smith Scholar, we want any of the students involved in the program, that they too say they've done so much that I hope we can use their name as a new organization of scholars.
I wrote the application, I came in for the interviews, feeling pretty vague about what it all was.
Before joining the Blouin Global Scholars, I honestly didn't know what to expect. I knew that going into college, I really wanted to be involved in something that aimed at helping others, and then once I heard about Blouin's and its goal on focusing on hunger and sustainability, it really appealed to me, and I knew that it was something that I wanted to become involved in.
And it was an opportunity to broaden my education and get involved in something that was bigger than myself.
I had this dream in my head that it was going to be a program that was going to offer me adventure and all this excitement through my college experience, and that I would be able to travel and have all these great experiences outside the classroom. And to be honest, that's exactly what it's turned out to be.
It was much different than my expectations, but it has surpassed my expectations in so many different ways.
I learned such a great deal, such a massive amount of information and a great deal of knowledge that I never thought was possible.
Everybody, of course, eats. The lack of food around the world is something, frankly, I was even surprised in my own studies. Food is something that, whether you're in the sciences or whether you're in a healthcare profession or in the humanities, we're all touched by food in some way. Secondly, we were looking at ways and trying to think about ways that our global experiences, both on our Rome campus and the work that we've already done in Africa, what kind of united those together. And we know that food insecurity is a major issue in Africa, but also Rome happens to be a place where the United Nations has their food and outreach programs, the presence of the Catholic Church in Caritas, and of course Italy's a great food culture as well.
Being in a living learning community was honestly one of the best experiences that I've had so far at Walsh. It was so awesome to be able to come home to people that I was studying with and be able to talk about our day and talk about our classes and share dinner together and just share all the little moments outside of school with each other.
I was nervous at first because I was afraid that we would get tired of each other, having class together and living together, but I realized quickly that it was a really huge component of making this program what it was going to be.
I thought that was a huge part of growing together, while we're also growing in knowledge of this global issue. Not only were we able to study together, but we were able to do fun activities together, like have movie nights on our floors, and just to get to know each other on a different level and help build that relationship that now not only are we a community, but I really feel like we are a family now. And I think that those 2 years where we lived together really helped establish that. Taking classes together as Blouin Global Scholars really enhanced that learning experience for me because we took classes in many different disciplines. We took classes in English and government foreign affairs, philosophy, and history. And it really showed how hunger can be seen in a different way in each of those academic lens.
I'd like to mention one class in particular that we took together our sophomore year, and it was a geography course. And I think putting that together with our global issue of food, studying cultural differences, and it wasn't just geography. I mean, it was actually a deeper understanding of the world as a whole.
One in particular that I can think of is an English class that we took that brought in the ideas that food is so much more than just nourishment to the body, that a meal can bring a family together, can bring cultures together, and there's so much symbolism in food.
We knew going to Tanzania, if we're looking at food and hunger and sustainability, we knew going to Tanzania would be a perfect opportunity for students to learn from people that are doing this day in and day out. As far as a global experience and really teaching students, I think that Tanzania is a wonderful nation that we can engage in and learn from and step outside our comfort zone. Rome is a global city. I mean, Rome is what other cities have been built on, and why not go to the source and really learn from that city? I mean, it was, to work with Caritas, I think was a great opportunity for the students, and it just seemed a nice fit to like a capstone experience for students. And really going into your senior year, we wanted you to have an experience where you could be independent in a city, and Rome is a city that you can do that.
When we were in Tanzania, we got to visit a seminary where they were teaching their students different agricultural methods so they could take it out into the communities where they would be placed and help relieve the issues of hunger there. So this was amazing because we got one-on-one interaction with these students, people our age, and they told us how they saw America, and we got to exchange ideas of how we saw one another and really kind of disqualify some of the myths that are going around, and we were able to grow a better bond and understand one another better.
My favorite memory from Tanzania was a group of 4 of us walked out into the main church by where we were staying, and we brought 3 soccer balls, and we just started passing the balls around. And then all of a sudden, a storm, I would say about like 30 kids came running out and wanted to play soccer. And then a bunch of the other Blouins came out, and we were playing soccer, we were doing hair, we were playing tag. It was one of the greatest experiences ever.
They didn't really speak much English and we didn't speak much Swahili. We were still able to communicate. We played through games, we played through playing soccer. They even taught us how to sing head, shoulders, knees, and toes in Swahili, and we were able to teach them in English. So just the conversation we had, even with the limited language we had with each other, was such an authentic and life-changing experience that I will always cherish.
So even though our projects locally we're small in relation to like the big global issues that our world is challenged with today, we recognize that they are still significant because they gave us perspective as to what we could do locally to bring about a positive change in the lives of others.
So when we got back from Africa, we were introduced to some local projects that we were going to be initiating.
We created a local food guide for Stark County, like I said, and we made a website for it. So the people in Stark County can go onto that website, they can see what industries, what companies are actually using locally grown food so they can support their local industries.
The local project that I was a part of was Campus Kitchen. Campus Kitchen is a national organization at over 50 different universities and colleges throughout the United States, and they work to take leftover food from the dining halls and reuse and repurpose it to take to local community agencies like homeless shelters.
And the one that I was a part of was called the Maslin Community Garden Coalition. They tried to assess maybe what was needed for a community garden. We went to this coalition's monthly meetings, and we put together maybe just some resources that we thought that would be useful for the community garden itself. For instance, how much maybe dirt or seed or gardening tools, and bringing all that back from an amazing experience in Africa, I think really gave us the motivation and just that inspiration to continue to work at a local level.
So we went to Rome, and that is really the culmination of our Blouin Global Scholars Project. So we do an internship while we're there, and it was awesome because we could take what we learned from our local projects, that skill and that knowledge, and transition it to our internship with Caritas when we were in Rome and working with them.
After Tanzania, we all really got a fire for our local projects, and the whole basis of the Blouin program is to be able to act locally and globally. So we really got a chance to have our hand at the local projects, and then Rome was our chance to act globally in the program.
My role with Caritas was to research land, and we had different people that were researching different parts of land. Mine in particular was focusing on the different climate changes that have occurred recently.
My role with Caritas was studying lack of access to markets in developing worlds, and specifically my part, I researched how lack of proximity to markets can strongly affect a family's ability to access food.
So going to Rome was the second trip that we did, and I knew it was going to be a different experience. I personally had never been out of the country. Others I knew had been to parts of Europe. I knew that we were going to be studying the European or the Italian meal. I knew that we were going to an expo that was about food.
Favorite memory from Italy is probably when we had that 4-course dinner together in Parma, Italy. I feel like that dinner really embodied how far we've come from our freshman year, and it really symbolized that community and that family-like relationship we had built with each other.
The benefit of traveling abroad in this program is the fact that you can
only learn so much from a textbook. You have to give yourself a chance to actually apply what you've learned.
I think you need to fully dive into a culture and dive into their problems to understand what they need and how to go about solving it.
You've all worked very hard on these issues, and I think have gotten even deeper in food issues than I have in my own career. Reading the papers that you wrote for Caritas were really amazing graduate level work, and I certainly learned something from reading those. But I think more importantly, what I learned is that there are still students out there who are committed to making a difference in the world. And that given the right experiences and the right kinds of opportunities, really are going to be leaders in service to the global community. And I certainly couldn't be more proud of the work that you all have done in the time that you've been here at Walsh.
Okay, so I think that students probably have this perspective that we have this program and you're learning so much and you're growing and you have this wonderful opportunity. But as a professional, being able to be a part of this program has been just as valuable to me. I think I've learned a lot about what students' expectations are when they come into such a program. I think that students, at least you all, have been so passionate and so committed, and I think that then makes me want to be a better professional for you. And so I think I've learned a lot about how to lead a group and stay committed to what you're doing because you are passionate about it, and I don't want to let you all down. And so I want you to leave thinking that if it hadn't been for the Blouin program, your experience at Walsh wouldn't have been the same.
I care about hunger because it is such a huge issue in the world today, and it's also an issue locally.
More than 48 million people in the U.S. alone are hungry, and 1 in 9 people in the world don't have enough food for a healthy living.
Food kind of underlies our human nature just as a whole, in that we're all, regardless of our race, ethnicity, our socioeconomic background, we're all dependent on food. And so I think that this issue just kind of speaks to our dependence on one another, and that there really is no difference between one human being here and one human being across the globe.
Food is a basic human necessity, and I think that is really at the core of why the issue of hunger is so important. Everybody has to eat. I mean, it's like drinking water. You have to do it. And so it's a human right. And I think as Christians, as Catholics, and being at a Catholic university, it's so important to acknowledge that this is something that we need to care about and care about our fellow human beings.
Being a global citizen, I feel that it's our responsibility to learn as much as we can about the world in which we live. And this is a great way to get to know what's going on in our world and what we can do as a group to make it better.
I've just immersed myself in new cultures and information that I don't think I would have been able to attain or would have thought to attain by myself. This program challenges you in so many different ways.
I would encourage anyone to be a part of this program because you get more than just the education. You get so many opportunities. You're able to travel abroad, which is an awesome benefit, and you're able to learn how to serve others and serve your community and be very humble.
We're very lucky to have so much support from the university, from our faculty and staff, and I've really grown to have a family around the people that I've spent the past 4 years with, and I wouldn't ask for anything different.
Ready? Tom, I need more euros.
What's your favorite food? Yeah, I'm sorry. You're not.
My name's Rachel Murphy.
Sausage.
What did you think in Rome? Gnocchi.
Tweet me, kick me. I'll send you a selfie if you need it. Yep.
The creative process, Aaron, it's fine.
My name is Emily. This is Teresa. I have some shoes on and a really cool ring.
How loud do you have to be? Because you have to yell. Like if I had to be like, my name's Rachel, and I'm a Blouin, that'd be really irritating.
Or over here it's like, versus talking like this, and talking like this, and then straight up just like yelling across the room.
Yeah. And cut.